New Volvo XC60 Ride Review. We take a ride in the Jaguar F-Pace rivaling Volvo XC60 ahead of its launch in the UK this summer. Verdict. Even from the passenger seat, it's clear that this new Volvo XC60 is a big improvement over its predecessor. It's quiet, comfortable, and remarkably refined, and from our brief test run it feels infinitely more agile than before. We'll have to wait a little longer to try it for ourselves, but early signs suggest this small SUV could have just what it takes to topple the best cars in its class. Unlike most car models, which tend to tail off towards the end of their life, the outgoing Volvo XC60 sold more units during its final year of production than in any 12-month period that preceded it. This new version of the XC60 is an extremely important car for the brand, then. Based on the same scalable SPA platform underpinning the XC90 SUV, the smaller XC60 will arrive in UK dealers later this summer. To find out what's in store, we took a trip to Volvo's Hollard test track near Gothenburg for a passenger ride in the upcoming Audi Q5 rival. Sitting in the driver's seat was vehicle dynamics leader Stefan Karlsson, a man who has headed up the XC60 project since its conception over 4 years ago. Our car was an all-wheel drive D5 diesel in top-spec inscription trim, though we were warned on numerous occasions that the XC60 we were trying was still very much in the pre-production phase. Despite this, the car felt every bit as grown-up as the larger XC90 on which it is based. The interior is just as beautifully finished, with an identical portrait touchscreen and digital dials. Its driftwood dashboard trim echoes that in a BMW i3, but is angled in the direction of travel and adds an air of class otherwise missing in this segment. But our test is more about how the car rides and handles, and Volvo's extensive test center has a perfectly crafted route to help us understand the work that has gone into making this XC60 more responsive and engaging than its bigger brother. The varied surfaces immediately highlight Volvo's philosophy that each of its cars should offer controllable, predictable, and comfortable handling. At 60 miles per hour, even broken tarmac refuses to upset the new SUV, though Karlsson insists it's the low-speed ride that is harder to perfect. People come here and go as fast as they can, he told us. Excellent ride comfort, they say. But you have to alter your speed. The slower you go, the worse it gets. That's what we have to work on. And as he slows the car, he proves to us that all that work has been worth it. There are no thumps or crashes, and the ride feels adequately cushioned over even the worst ruts and ridges. Karlsson shows us a special area of the track that hasn't been repaired in years, and that despite sitting on 20-inch wheels and tires, our XC60 manages it with aplomb. It's worth noting, however, that this specific car featured the pricey optional air suspension, so we'll reserve judgment until we've driven a car on standard springs. The familiar D5 diesel is quiet and refined, though. A trip around Hollard's high-speed bowl sees us nudge 200 km/h, 120 miles per hour, and the only noticeable noise comes from the just around the door mirrors. Given that most of these cars will spend their life to and froing around town, or cruising more sedately, this isn't likely to bother prospective buyers. Next up is the handling course, a stretch of tarmac specifically modeled on one of the UK's most challenging Welshby roads. Through a series of tight and twisty curves, long sweeping bends and countless undulations, the front-biased XC60 felt secure and stable throughout. Karlsson drives hard, and despite his best efforts the SUV cannot be provoked sitting straight and true through even the harshest changes of direction. Volvo claims a 53:47 front-rear weight distribution for standard cars, though that figure varies slightly for the heavier T8 twin-engine hybrid. All Brit-bound cars will come as standard with Volvo's Haldex-based all-wheel drive system. While it's impossible to add any truly worthwhile opinion from the passenger seat, Volvo's dynamics chief told us that agility was far more important on the XC60 than it had been on any of the larger 90 cluster cars. Torsional rigidity has been improved considerably, and body roll is kept nicely in check. It doesn't feel quite as responsive as a Jaguar F-Pace, but it's likely to sit on a PAR with more comfort-biased rivals like the Mercedes GLC. We want the car to feel as connected as possible, Carlson told us. We want to offer drivers a connection to the car through the steering wheel. He admits that much of what they do is tested on rigs and simulators, but that a lot of it is done subjectively, too. Is this XC60 the most responsive Volvo ever? Yes and no, he tells us. The current V40 is incredibly responsive, Carlson says. But we want this XC60 to be much more responsive and engaging than the car it replaces. With 4 drive modes, you can adjust your XC60 to suit your mood. Those with air suspension can hunker down by 20 mm for improved handling, or raise by 40 mm for greater ground clearance. Dynamic mode adjusts the throttle and gearbox mapping, just like it does in the XC90, though only our design cars get steering wheel mounted paddles. In this specification, the Volvo XC60 will cost £44,705, though prices start from a more competitive £37,205. Our car will return 51.4 mpg and emit 144 g/km of CO2, sitting in the 30% benefit Indiana kind tax bracket for company car drivers. It's spacious up front and there's loads of room for 2 or 3 tall adults in the rear. There's loads of kit, too, which should see it challenge premium rivals like the Land Rover Discovery Sport and soon-to-be-replaced BMW X3. Key specs. Model, Volvo XC60. Price, £44,705. Engine, 2.0-liter 4-cylinder diesel. Power/torque, 232 bhp/480 Nm. Transmission, 8-speed auto, all-wheel drive. 0-62 mph/top speed, 7.2 s/137 mph. Economy/CO2, 51.4 mpg/144 g/km. On sale, now.